You know, when you've been really hurt, a natural human thing to do is to want revenge. You want the other person that hurt you to be hurt like you. And it's a human thing. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. You can feel that way. But I encourage all of my clients who are trying to seek revenge to just wait, because the universe has its own way of restoring balance when a person hurts you and is not able to reciprocate or make amends with you. Some people call it karma, some people call it the universe. I call it God's law. It's basically what happens, and this is why it happens. When someone hurts you, you now have extra emotional work to do. Processing the hurt, rebuilding trust, feeling safe again. And the person who hurt you created a debt of, they need to repair it. They need to, give you an apology. They need to change their behavior. They need to make amends. They need to take responsibility in order to restore the balance that they broke with you. However, a lot of people are stubborn and there is no balance. They just break up. They have affairs. They do things that hurt you. They project onto you. They blame you. And it never gets resolved. And here's what happens when it doesn't get resolved. And I want to go through these signs of emotional debt that the person who hurt you will carry and see in their own life. You may not see it. Doesn't happen right away. Somebody can betray you, start being with a new person, create a new family. Everything looks like it's going great with their business and everything else, but don't be fooled. God is acting on them, or the universe, or karma, whatever makes you feel better about what your belief system is. This is how the feedback cycle looks for emotional debt. So first of all, you say or do something that causes hurt or disappointment or betrayal, and the other person experiences a loss of trust, safety, and respect, as well as feeling like they belong. The second part, so there's a debt creation. The relationship is now unbalanced. The hurt party has extra emotional work to do because they've got to start rebuilding who they are, what they believe, who they trust. And you have an unacknowledged obligation to repair. But, whether or not you repair it, whether or not you're emotionally mature enough is on you. This is the principle of an emotional debt, if you will. And I'm making it so that you can understand it on financial terms. Avoidance or partial acknowledgement. This is if the harm isn't fully addressed, avoidance sets in. And silence, defensiveness, or minimization delays repayment. So you might say, well, I wouldn't have cheated on you if I had been getting my needs met. That is not an apology, and that's not an amend. And in fact, you're creating more emotional debt that you're going to be responsible for. Like an unpaid interest, resentment and mistrust grows. So this is usually the culprit, the deeper issue underneath couple splitting. Relationships shift. So all of a sudden, the hurt person is starting to adjust. Less openness, warmth, or collaboration with this person who hurt them. So they're starting to understand, I can't trust this person. Subtle nonverbal cues signals a shift to the other person. The person who hurt you now is seeing that you're beginning to change. You're pulling away from them. This starts impacting your social environment, reputation, and sense of belonging. This is for the hurt person. They're now starting to feel the pain of what they caused the other person. And then there's an internalized discomfort for the person who did the hurting behavior. So they start feeling guilt and cognitive dissonance and shame. And all of these emotions are starting to accumulate inside them. If they repress them, in other words, if they don't talk about them or they deny them, this turns into anxiety, irritability, or hypervigilance. So now the person who is responsible for the hurting is starting to feel the pain of what they did and what they're unable to make amends with. This discomfort starts driving behaviors that create new harms, compounding the debt. So they're irritable and angry. And rather than them taking responsibility for it, they're going to blame others. That might be the person they hurt initially. That might be their parents. That might be friends. Whoever it is, it's going to start coming out because they're still not able to make amends with it. Now is when you get the return on the debt. This is the boomerang effect. The relational losses and internal strain eventually come back through loneliness, reduced trust from others, missed communication, missed opportunities, and escalated conflicts. This is when, if that person that hurt you with another person is now going to start feeling this, and it's going to show up in their new relationship. You might not be around to see this, but believe me, behind closed doors, it's happening. This is repayment through consequences rather than them taking the choice to repair it, to make amends, to say they're sorry, to change the behavior that hurt the person originally so they won't hurt them again. The debt resolution has two paths. The first one is a healthy one, and that's when you give a genuine apology, you change your behaviors, you work on rebuilding trust with this person you hurt, and the relationship balance is restored. Or if you're too egotistical, too prideful, too self-centered, you're going to choose the unhealthy one. And that's the forced repayment. And that's when the consequences of you not making amends, not giving a genuine apology, not following through with changing your behavior, the consequences become unavoidable. There's a loss of relationship, diminished standing among your peers, your other friends. They now know that you hurt people, especially those you love most, and you refuse to make amends with it. And there's personal distress because the person inside you want to be is being destroyed because of your ego not being able to go back and do what you should after you hurt someone. The debt is settled through loss rather than healing. This is an extremely important thing, especially for now, when we're teaching people to emotionally regulate. You emotionally regulate easier when you understand the universe has its way of finding, restoring balance in relationships. So if you've been hurt, go ahead and mourn the hurt, grieve it. Go through the stages of sadness and regret and mistrust and everything else, but don't seek revenge. Allow the universe the space to do that for you. If this video is helpful for you, please subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much.